Hello, everybody. This is the Love Yourself Foundation podcast. We are a platform that is here to promote self-love practices to help those searching for personal enhancement through the arts, sciences, literature, and more. We believe that through personal enrichment, that the overall sustainability of humanity creates sustainability on a planetary level. And so for today's topic, we will be talking about self-care. And I am Monica Garcia, the co-founder of LYF, and I have Giselle joining me today.
Hey guys, I am Giselle. I am in charge of marketing and events for LYF.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, follow us on social media before we start, our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us at DLY Foundation, and our website is thelyfoundation.com. All right, so self-care is such an important topic, one that sometimes actually gets overlooked. And I say this from personal experience as well. I used to overlook this in my life, and now I'm a huge advocate for this and think of self-care as a pivotal thing to start having some more love for yourself. And so, Giselle, what are some initial thoughts that come to mind on why this is such a pivotal topic?
So I've been thinking a lot about this, right? And I these are my opinions, so it's not like in a scientific book, but in my opinion, there's like three different arms to self care, right? I think there's the physical, the emotional, and the mental. And then I think as a society, we really tend to focus on just the physical aspect of self care. So we know we need to move our bodies. We know we need to eat clean. We just need to take care of our health, be hygienic. All those are just super important, right? And we've been taught that since we were little kids, right? Um, the problem is that the emotional and the mental branches of self care are just, I feel like they're put on the back burner. So we know we have to go to the dentist once a year, but we're never really taught how to heal ourselves from things like loneliness, from
Mm-hmm.
failure, from disappointment. And these are things that we see all the time, right, throughout our lives, especially heartbreak and loss are things that are really detrimental to people's emotional and mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we'll hear like, "Oh, don't worry, it's in your head. You'll be fine. It just takes time."
Yeah.
But then I thought about like you'd never go to the dentist with a cavity and he'd be like, it just takes time. You'll be fine, right? He'll fix it. He'll teach you. This is how you brush your teeth. This is how you have to floss.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're really taught only about the physical. Another example would be, when you were a little kid and you're climbing trees and you scrape your knee and you have this gash. Your mom is like, you got to put a Band-Aid on and let's clean it with. Oh my God, I live in Spain now, so it only comes out in Spanish. Agua oxigenada, hydrogen peroxide. We're given these tools as kids, and
Mhm.
then, but we're never taught, how to heal ourselves again emotionally and mentally. And I think this is a problem in our society, and I think that's why we have like depression and suicide, and people are
Mhm.
angry. So I think if we're taught properly, we'd know how to heal the society, heal ourselves from that angle, and eventually, hopefully, it'll stretch out into healing society. And we always talk about the planet and the environment, and I think this
Mhm.
all really is essential and integral to what we're doing at LYF. So I think it's really important to address it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you hit each and every point so well, and it's funny because in sustainability we often talk about the three pillars, which is people, planet, profit.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that people are well, that society is well, that the economy is well, and then all of that comes in together. So there's sustainability on a larger level, but and this is me. I used to be. I'd always think of it more again, like from a bigger viewpoint, and I was always so concentrating on the bigger picture that I lost sight of me, right? My own sustainability and mental health emotional health, physical health. And I know that I'm one of many people that's happened to. So I think, yeah, it's just interesting how it is always those three pillars, and how we even have three pillars within ourselves.
And one
So
of them, if it was, sorry to interrupt you.
yeah,
I
no
mean,
worries.
if it's like a stool, it's a three-legged stool. If one of those is off, we're gonna fall. They all have to be running smoothly.
Exactly. And one is not more important than the other. It's it's finding that balance. So I think we can just get right into our first question. So just we're gonna each one of us will kind of piggyback off this. But so what is self-care to you, and why is self-care important? So I'll start. So for me, self-care is just ensuring that I am well on an individual level. So that, again, meaning mind, body, and soul. And so that's through ensuring that I'm eating well, that I'm having proper physical activity, that I'm also tending to my own emotions. And so for me, my daily rituals are, I am an Ashtanga practitioner. So I've been practicing now Ashtanga Yoga for a year and a half now. But I first started with yoga when I was 19, and I'm so grateful that I did start back then, because I started getting into the philosophy and learning, and it allowed me just to expand my mind in a way that it wasn't before. But now with practicing Ashtanga, it's given me discipline that I think I needed, I really needed something to push me to another level. And now I've actually become a morning person. And that's so funny to me to even say. It's like, I mean, I'm still bad. Like my whole life, I've always liked to stay up late. It's just who I am. Like since a little kid, I was always fighting with my mom and like my bedtime.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't? But
Yeah.
but now through this practice, it's allowed me to have more of a routine every day. And so it's through Ashtanga, and it's through, I do a lot of journaling. So I do two types. I manifest journal, and that's something that a friend of mine from back home showed me, Kelly Bennett. And we will definitely put she's a great human being, and we'll put her information on the description of this podcast for all you to learn more about her. But manifest journaling is something that allows you to kind of clear your vision on the things that you would like to accomplish. If you have a big dream and you don't know how to exactly get there, and you set up your journal in a way to where you're working toward that every day. But then every day you're actually writing like a to-do list and the things that you need and you want to accomplish. And then with that, you also write what you're grateful for. And that practice, to me, writing the things that I'm grateful for, has, again, just transformed my world in a way that I don't think I'd ever like to stop doing this, because it makes you just so aware on how blessed you are. Even when you think things are going wrong, there's always something to be grateful for. And then and then art journaling is something that I started to do about a year ago too, and that's just been so great for me as well, because I am a writer, but I sometimes may not be able to express myself in a way that maybe through word, and maybe through art, it actually helps me actually understand what I'm feeling better. And so watercoloring has been my choice of art, and then I usually just do a little write-up when I've kind of gone through some funky emotions. And yes, and then I actually cut out meat now about a year ago from my diet. And again, that's through my own, cutting out meat is such a personal decision. But for me at the time when I hit anxiety, I just noticed that I needed a change in my diet. And I started to have more of a plant-based diet. And I saw how much it actually helped my anxiety improve.
Really?
Yeah, yep, it really did.
Interesting.
And then another thing that I do, I've actually cut back a lot on alcohol. I mean, I do still like to have maybe a few beers, or like I'm a human, and I do like to have beers every a few times a week maybe. but I don't do hard liquor. And that was also something that I cut off when I hit anxiety. It was just affecting me way too much. And I was like, you know what? It's just not worth compromising my inner peace
For sure. For
for
sure.
this,
You wake
you
up
know?
so anxious. I feel like a hangover
Yeah.
is anxiety, right? You
Yeah.
obviously feel, I feel like a big portion of it is you feel physically sick, right? You're nauseous, and well, I don't really get nauseous, but mostly I get anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, exactly. It can, yep. And it throws you off, and you're hungover and you're like, losing a day.
your days, yeah, you lose a whole day.
Yeah. And then just ensuring I try my best to have like between 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And I feel like at my best when I'm able to do that. And then waking up at a similar time every day. Like I've become a morning person, but I'm still not like a person that likes to wake up at 7 a.m. Not yet.
Wait, what's a morning person for
I don't
you?
know. When I
Yeah.
when I think of a morning person, I'm like, oh, they're waking up at 6 and they're just like enjoying the the whole morning. I'm working toward that, but no, now I like to maybe wake up between 8 and 9. That seems to work for me.
I was in Valencia last week, as you know, and they have a really chill lifestyle. And
Mhm.
I rented an Airbnb, and the owners needed to come in and fix something. So they're like, "Hey, we're gonna be at the house at the end, the latter part of the morning." So I was like, "Okay," and it's like noon, and I'm like, "Hey, when are you guys gonna show up?" And he's like, "I had told you at the latter part of the morning," and I was like, "When is that?" He goes, "Like 2." So it just, yeah, he's like, oh, here it's, before we eat lunch, because, they late here in
Mhm.
Spain. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's whatever. I think it's waking up early. Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
not a super healthy lifestyle. Also, is waking up super late, because then it bleeds into like your
Mhm.
sleep, you go to bed late, and
Exactly.
the early bird gets
Exactly.
the worm.
Yeah. So I know in Spain it is a different lifestyle. I mean, a lot of things here just open up at 10.
Yeah,
And so it is different than in the US and other countries.
yeah.
But but yeah. So these are kind of the things that have worked well with me. And again, just through yeah, they work well. And I think it's just finding what are the things that work well for you.
Well,
So mhm.
to the reason I think it's totally crucial is for me it's my self-esteem, right? It's
Mhm.
super crucial for that. So when I'm not taking care of myself, my self-esteem plummets, and
Mhm.
you can see it, I can see it from just the way I even look, and definitely the way I
Mhm.
act.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just like down. My husband says I'm kind of like a bitch on wheels. I just don't feel good. I don't feel good.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
thing is, and we touched upon this, is I mean earlier in the day, but the importance is that you become aware of it. You're like,
Mhm.
I'm not acting well. I don't feel good. Because then once you know, you can fix it, and this is so easy to fix, right? You just have to
Yeah.
get back on the ball and take care of yourself again. And we have to feel super empowered. It's got to be a really comforting feeling to know that it's within your control to do this, right? Let's say you have like a health problem. It's not in the sense of like, let's say you have cancer, or
Mhm.
just anything, a really bad illness. You it's not really in your control. So this is something that
Mhm.
we can wrap our arms around and take care of ourselves, and you can automatically feel better. So for me personally, yoga, meditation, and
Mhm.
just being outside are crucial.
Yeah.
If I don't get moving, I get sad. If I don't go
Mhm.
outside, I kind of get sad. So that's super important. Um, the journaling that you taught me, thanks so
Mhm.
much for you.
Mhm.
You
You're
do a
welcome.
manifest journal. I do more of like a gratitude journal. So I think when I start my day every day with like a positive thought, so I do my to-do
Mhm.
list as you mentioned, and then I do an intention for the day, how I want to feel, and then I'll do what I'm grateful for. And it could be something as minuscule as like, I remember that I was writing in this journal. It's like an artisanal journal. And I was like, I'm so thankful for the person that even made this journal because it brings
Mm-hmm.
me so much happiness. So it can
Mm-hmm.
be something like that, or you can get like really deep into it and think about like all your blessings in your life, or even just the
Mm-hmm.
things from the day before. So it doesn't have to be like a huge chore where you're writing for like 30 minutes about what you're grateful for. It could be something really easy like, I love my nail polish. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
whoever came up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's true.
right? So then there's that. It's super important to me. Traveling, as you know, is something that's
Mm-hmm.
crucial for me in my life. And it's not just seeing sights, but it's again, it's being grateful for the opportunity to even
Mm-hmm.
do it. It really broadens your horizons, different people, different
Yeah.
food, and it makes you really empathic to others. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something that's like really important to me.
Yeah. And I think it's connection. I think that's probably one of my favorite things too of traveling is just when you're connecting to people that you wouldn't have met them otherwise, and then you
Yeah.
start to see like maybe you're from different places, but at the heart there are so many similarities in it, and
Yeah.
at the at the heart of it we're human, and I think it's just that human connection. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think living consciously too, being mindful of your day,
Yeah.
um, is really important. And I think also, I think if you want to curl up in the couch in like a cozy blanket and watch TV or read a book, to
Oh
own that and
yeah.
saying, this is what I want to do. I don't feel like going to the gym right now. I want to watch a movie. I think that that control is also really self-caring.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Because we all can't go at 100 every day. Those
Yeah,
rest days are so important as well. And when you just chill out and just do whatever, maybe it's art or read or yeah, like you said, watch a movie. It's equally important.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hmm. And that's funny. That's actually something that I have struggled with too, and in part why I'm sure my anxiety went up the roof last year was because I was so always on the go.
Yeah.
And like instilling those rest days or those rest moments were really hard on me. I will never forget like an ex partner of mine, like one time he just sat me down. He's like, Monica, can you just sit there and chill out for a minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, like, but it's crazy. Like I was just always going at 100 and I needed to slow down.
Because I
So,
think we're taught that in the States, like you got to keep
mhm.
hustling, you got to go, and then
Yeah,
if you stop and just rest, you're lazy.
exactly,
And that's,
exactly.
you're not lazy, you're just taking care
Hmm.
of yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so now let's turn into so when did you start practicing self-care? If you'd like to share, what turning point in your life did self-care become essential? Do you want to just take it off, Giselle?
So I started in like when I first started college, I got like into fitness. And then you fall off the wagon sometimes. So I would do fitness, but then sometimes I would like do a bunch of drinking. So it wasn't like really, really. It was kind of like the infancy stage. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
fully done, right? And I think as I get older, you'll develop self care more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember moving to California, and I had my boyfriend at the time took me to a yoga class, and I was like, this is amazing. This is so great. And then he would take me hiking. And I just started doing all these like different sort of step out, just different things that I really resonated with me. And then I started doing clean eating and meditation. And it just kind of snowballs from there. I think once you
Mm-hmm.
start with one thing, then you're like, I dig this. And you start
Yeah.
doing other little things and other little things. So I think I want to say college is like where the little bud sparked. But really, when
Mm-hmm.
I moved to California, is like 8 years ago, is when it really started to bloom.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, for me, similar age bracket too. Yeah, like I said, I started getting into yoga when I was 19, but then it's become more and like self-care has become way more important as I've gotten older for sure. And the turning point for me was when I first hit depression in fall of 16. And it was in August of 16 when really things started to go downhill for me. I had my dog passed away, and it was interesting. After he passed, all these other things, I started to experience so much loss, and it hit me to the core, and it eventually just showed me all these areas that I really needed more. I needed to practice more self-care, self-love, and then at the beginning of 2017, that's when I started to practice Ashtanga, and then, like you said, like a snowball effect. Then I started to develop the anxiety, and then that kind of took me in another level. But then I just, again, observed it, and I was like, okay, well, what other things can I do to help myself? And it was, like I mentioned earlier, the different practices I've started now. But yeah, it was through depression and through anxiety that have actually helped me. It's funny because now, like, I'm at a point where I feel like I've definitely healed from those experiences, and I'm able to have so much gratitude now for anxiety and depression, which, of course, when I was going through it, it was really hard to see the silver lining. But now that time has passed, I am very grateful, because I am the person that I am now because of it. And I
Yeah.
think, I think one of the best things I've heard, and it's actually from, if you all don't know him, Infinite Waters.
You love him.
I love the man. He's just helped me so much, and I will never forget when I first had depression, and he said, "What if we relooked at the word, and instead of seeing it as depression, this really bad thing, what if we see it as like you're in deep rest, and what if it's a chance for you to just chill out, reevaluate where you are and where you want to go in your life?" And then he also gave the metaphor of a caterpillar. When a caterpillar goes into the cocoon, the caterpillar thinks it's in this really dark place. But of course, we as humans observing this, we're like, oh, cool, they're going to become a butterfly.
Yeah.
And so he's like, what if that's you? You're just going through your dark time to just come out even bigger, better, and stronger. And those words during that time, they helped me so much. And so I have mad gratitude for him, and I love to share that now with people. So
yeah, it's amazing when you reframe things, how it'll totally change your outlook on something, right? So I like that a lot. I like the caterpillar.
Yeah, me too. And I think I did share this because I did do some antidepressants for a little bit. And of course, everybody has a different story. It didn't resonate with me. And I did it for a month, I remember. And I was like, I feel better, but I'm not creating this, And so I was like, I need to confront this. And at that point, I weaned myself off. And you know what? Therapy. I think that's something that needs to be talked more about, and said, it's okay to go seek therapy. Actually, go do it. And I'm a huge advocate for that. And I also have these two spiritual counselors, therapists back home that have helped me so much. And you can also follow them. They have a YouTube channel too. They're called Zen Rose Garden. Awesome people. But anywho, so let's go into our next question. So at any point before you started practicing self-care, did you ever think it was selfish, or that only people that were vain practice self-care?
I didn't. That's never happened. I actually think it's selfish if you think it's selfish. You know what I mean? If somebody was like, why are you doing that? Because I'm taking care of myself. Why are you even asking me? So I think the people who think it's selfish are really the selfish ones. So no, and I definitely don't think people that who practice it are vain. I think more power to them. So
yeah. Well, I have to admit, I used to think, I know, and I admit it, and I used to, because I used to think, oh, like come on, keep going, it's like, got to work for the big picture here. Like I was just, and Infinite Waters talks about this too, where he's like, you become so selfless, but where's the self? Where is you in this? Like if there's no you, then you cannot contribute to the community. You cannot contribute to the things that you are passionate about. And again, it was when I hit my dark spots that I was like, shit, like I like, wow, like I can't even do the things that I love right now because I'm not well. And that's,
Yeah.
again, it forced me to look in and be like, take care of yourself, Monica, because if you're not well, then you can't, like, again, you can't do these things that you're so passionate about. And it totally made me relook at it all. And I'm like, yes, take care of yourself, do what you need, honor your yeses, honor your nos. When you don't want to do something, don't do it. If that's, at all compromising your inner peace, So,
You know what? I think I'm not a mother, but I hear this a lot from like moms and daddies. Dads do the same, but moms just like I know they'll run themselves ragged, just putting their
yeah,
kids ahead
yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
themselves, even their marriage. I
Mm-hmm.
know their partners can get affected by just putting the kids first and the kids first and the kids first. And I think at the end of the day, you're not even going to be. Again, I'm not a mom, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you're selling your kids short on being,
Mm-hmm.
the best mom you can be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So take care of yourself and then you can be present for your kids.
Exactly, exactly. And
So,
and I think a lot of us that, there's a, I'm not alone when I say this, like I grew up like just having like this innate need to give, right? And a lot of us in the world of helping others, or in my case, I was this environmental activist for years. And I did that exactly. I just gave it all, and it's so easy to burn yourself out,
yeah.
and because you're like, oh, I gotta keep going, like this is such
Yeah.
a big cause, and if I'm not there, then and that's just a vicious cycle. And yeah, I'm all about, take care of yourself, and
I
then
think I think
mm-hmm.
sometimes because going back to the mom example, but how do they take a break? They have so much going
Mm-hmm.
on, and I think if they can, just ask for some help. Say, man, can you help me out? I need to lay in the tub and put on some candles and just relax.
Yeah.
But you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I
Mm-hmm.
need
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need help. Please help me out.
Oh yeah, I know, and it is true. What you just said is so true. Like that vulnerability of being like, yeah, I need help, and I need it. And I think
Yeah.
there's also something really powerful of actually receiving help.
Hmm.
And I think that's something that for me that I've also had to learn. Like I was always this giver, but I also had to learn to receive. And you can't do it just one way. It's the same thing. If you're always just receiving, you got to give. It's the same thing. If you're always giving, you got to receive help. It's a loop for a reason. That's how the universe works.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so do you feel like people in society refer to self-care as selfish, or what do you think is like the image of self-care in society?
I mean, again, the mom thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe other people will be like, why is she going to a spa day? She should be
Mm-hmm.
spending more time with her kids. I mean, I don't think that way, but I can imagine some people do.
Yeah.
Or why is she always going to the gym? She needs to spend more time with her kids. But I just don't think that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't answer it that well, but I could see how some people could think that way.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. I think there's a mixture, just how once upon a time I used to think like that. I think it's just, again, it's just that the importance of bringing the love back to yourself. Like one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest things that I worked on as I worked through my anxiety was like, Monica, give yourself the love that you like to give. You got to give it back to you too. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the more these type of conversations get out there, I think the more it can help people in understanding that your health is equally important, even if you're a mom or even if you're a business owner or at whatever you are leading. You got to be well for yourself to carry
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're carrying.
And you
Yeah.
have to you have to be able to tell people like when they are judging you, just to be like, hey, you know what? I got to do this. This is what I need to
Mm-hmm.
do, and don't feel bad about it. Own
Mm-hmm.
it, and let them deal with what their thoughts are. Because as you and I talk about all the time, when someone passes judgment on you, it has to do with them, not you.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, and I think one of the best things that I've also kind of adopted is, you know, people that are going to talk about you, they're going to,
Yeah.
regardless of whatever you do. So might as well just do what's right within you and act accordingly, you
Yeah.
know, because
Hmm.
you're not going to please everybody.
Exactly.
You're just not. So, and that's okay. um, so what are some easy ways you think people can start practicing self-care?
I touched on it a little bit, but I think for me, going outside and getting physical, go for a jog and hike. But when you do it right, I think it's important if you really are mindful of the whole sensory effect, right? So when you are outside, for example, feel the wind in your hands. You know, when people like stick
Mm-hmm.
their hand outside the car and they're kind of playing with it, just kind of really be present in it. Listen to the animals, feel the sun on your face or the
Mm-hmm.
rain. You know what I mean? Just coupling that sensory feeling with the actual being outside and moving your body, I think is super, super good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think yoga is also really great. Just incorporating mindfulness again to breath is great. And yoga is really huge in California and in certain parts of the country. I know living in Spain, people are stressed. And they'll just go to a bar, which obviously we do that in the States too. But I'm like, let's practice yoga. And they look at me like I have six heads. So really just changing that whole outlook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yoga is not just, you know, meditating. It's, you know, moving and there's a whole, well, you know, it's a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
stuff to yoga. Taking breaks, I think is super important. Eating healthy, journaling. Another thing is stop overthinking, right? You know the saying? I was thinking about this the other day. You know the saying, hope for the best, but expect the worst?
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I
Yeah, me
think
too.
I think expecting the worst is absolutely nothing for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just causes this unnecessary stress. And like, there's this quote by the Dalai Lama. I'm gonna have to paraphrase it, but he basically says, if there's a solution to the problem, then don't worry about it. And if there's no solution to the problem, then don't worry about it. So the key is really to keep your mind in control. It's the only thing we control. The rest just isn't up to us. So stop overthinking. Just let things be, man.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
exactly. And back to Infinite Waters, he has this term. He has this term, and he calls it pronoia. So instead of paranoia,
Yeah.
pronoia, the belief that good things are coming, good things are going to happen to you. And when you start to think, you start to transform your mind to think of like, oh, everything that is happening is actually coming to help me. And if you start to think like the obstacles that might come, hey, those are lessons. They're just lessons that are coming to help you get stronger as a person.
Yeah.
Um, so, and yeah, I think that you touched upon a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, if you're a writer, start writing your feelings
Yeah.
and start practicing gratitude, even if it's just like naming a few things a day that you're grateful for. If you're an artist, even if you're not, but the thing is, humans are creative. Even if you don't see yourself as an artist, I am sure you have a creative ability within yourself. I mean, that can be maybe you like to decorate your room or you like to decorate different things or just the way that you orchestrate. I don't know, even like a spreadsheet. I think that's that's creativity right there. That's not one of my fortes. And I know there's people that create beautiful spreadsheets, you know? So like there's whatever you like, just tap into that. And I
I
can,
think,
you know,
sorry. So
mm-hmm.
I think some people who are very like science and math oriented, they're almost afraid to be creative. They're like, oh, I'm in foreign waters. But I think, like for instance, my husband is, you know, engineer and really binary thought process. But when we were decorating our house, I would applaud like anything he picked out that was I kind of agreed with. And then he started getting self esteem and confidence about this. So now he'll like choose things for the house, and it's everyone's creative, just like you
Oh yeah,
said.
everybody. And even these science-based people, they're
Yeah.
still creative. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, like our website, like that's such creativity right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't create it. Abby created that, you know, so it's just yeah, everybody is a little artiste, even if you don't think you are.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and then if you want to get into yoga, there's so many different avenues. I mean, you can look at videos online, or maybe you got a yoga studio, or maybe a donation based yoga studio. I was actually, I didn't know what to expect when I moved to Spain, but when I got into the Ashtanga, shout out to Ashtanga Yoga Bilbao studio, it was so great just to see other people there. And like Giselle said, like over here in Spain, it's growing. Yoga is definitely, it's still growing and being, it's kind of a steady, maybe a steadier progression toward it. But like I have an uncle that is super now into mindfulness as well, and I don't know, it surprised me, and I'm so happy that he is. So hopefully, more and more people do get into it, and
Yeah.
and it's true. So all that it takes, I think one of the funniest things that I hear is like, oh, I can't practice meditation or I can't practice yoga because I'm just thinking about things too much. I'm like, well, that's it. That's exactly why you should. Like
Exactly.
our brains, everybody, we are all like always thinking, but it's just calming the mind actually allows you to think of whatever you're thinking in a more clear way. Sometimes I like to think of it as like if you're, I don't know, if like you're going through like a river and like you hit a spot where like there's a little dam, and meditation, I feel like helps like your mind like get through those crevices that might be a little bit stuck. And by calming your mind, you get through that. And so, yeah.
And even just like start with a minute
Yeah.
meditating. Also, guys, it's a myth that you have to sit in lotus pose and touch like your thumb. That's bullshit. You don't have to do that. My father started getting tinnitus. I forgot. I never say it right, but the ringing in your ear. And he's like an atheist and like super non-spiritual, and he started meditating, and he said that he just lays in bed right when he's waking up, which is kind of like when he gets it, and he just focuses on his breathing in and out, and he even has like outer body experiences meditation. So just start with a minute, focus, breathing in and out. You can be laying down, you can be anywhere you want, and just start with a minute and two and then three.
And it's practice. I think that's what, I've heard this too. It's like, oh, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible. That's the idea, people. You got to practice out, like you just have to keep practicing. Same with meditation. So nobody, we're all here just practicing being good humans as we can be every day. So
I think your mind always wanders a little bit in meditation. You just have to know how to get it back.
Yeah.
So that's normal.
Yeah, totally normal. And just bring it back to your breath, and you see the thoughts kind of floating by like a little cloud.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right, guys. So, well, that ends our podcast for today. So again, the importance of self-care is so substantial. I mean, the impact that you can have in healing yourself will make you a more well-rounded human being, to where you'll be able to have more joyful relationships, and again, feel more connected to our beautiful planet that gives us so much every day. And so it'll help in all capacities just to build better relationships and treat our beautiful planet better. Do you have any closing comments, Giselle?
I just hope that we helped a little bit. I mean, guys, remember those 3 branches, right? So don't just focus on the physical. Think about your emotional and your mental well-being, and take care of all that is you.
Exactly. And if y'all ever have any questions or anything like that, feel free and, DM us on Instagram or on Facebook, or write us an email at contact@dlyfoundation.com. And again, our social media is DLY Foundation. You can find us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. So there's multiple ways to get in touch with us if you have any questions, or feel free to throw any questions in the comment section in our podcast, or again, and there's multiple ways to get in touch with us. And we will definitely, all the different things that we talked about today, we'll put links out for you all to look at further. So that's all we have for today. Thank you all so much for listening, and keep being awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.